Are you a patriot? Join the Holy Empire.
My holy brothers in Quirk Christ, subscribe to your Patriarch's Patreon page. Pay me money and I can work on Imperial infrastructure for a living instead of working on a corporate plantation. More proof and versus series, more recaps, reactions, and recasts, more content more consistently on the platform, which allows us to interact more seamlessly, including but not limited to Patriot-only access content and seasonal level 99 plot armor.
What's poppin' interwebs? Welcome back to the channel and to episode 2 of my versus series. If you're not already a patriot of the Holy Ran Empire, punch that subscribe button like Upper Moon 3 punched the donut Hashira. Consequently, I devised what I determined to be the most adequate way to ascertain the power differentials between the various Hashira when placed in opposition to Mastered Ultra Instinct Rengoku. And while we'll endeavor to only use base him Goku, if needs be, we'll give Kigajiro the Demon Slayer mark, the see-through world, and or the selfless state in this gauntlet match. For the moment, however, we ought to address the most contentious topics that will inevitably be lobbied later on otherwise. Mental amp slander. Was Akaza holding back? Was Saname being serious? Stronger versus more powerful. But we first need to get all of the non-contentious opponents out of the way. Consequently, given that the entire Totally Not Vampire Slayers community agrees that Saname is top 2 Hashiras, I only need to prove that Rengoku washes angry Asta. Roll the clip.
Giyu, after seeing Tanjiro's capabilities firsthand, is literally shook just standing still, shocked at how strong Tanjiro is, and thinks to himself that Tanjiro is easily Hashira level, and thinks that might even be an understatement, so you might be able to imply Tanjiro is upper Hashira level from that statement alone. There's also an implication that Tanjiro is approaching or arrived at Rengoku level from all the dialogue and the storytelling aspect of the fight. Akaza and Tanjiro have a similar back and forth about strong and weak people, where Tanjiro, similar to Rengoku, disagrees with Akaza's premise. It would also make sense that Tanjiro, now that he's at Rengoku's level, would be able to return and defeat the demon that killed Rengoku. There's just a lot of implications that Tanjiro is at Rengoku-esque level. And Kokushibo, who is pretty drastically faster than Muzan, at least the version of Muzan that fought all the Hashira. We know this because in chapter 189, we finally get to see a scene of Muzan focusing all of his attention on one of the Hashira, that being Mark Sanemi. Mark Sanemi weaves through a barrage of Muzan's attacks, completely undamaged, and this Sanemi should be a good bit slower than his Kokushibo fight counterpart, since he was so exhausted that he passed out after fighting Kokushibo. I also want to clear it up that Muzan never blitzed all the Hashira before Tanjiro arrived on the scene, as Muzan just shows he's unable to tag the Hashira for multiple pages before this happens. So you might be asking, well, what did Muzan do to take out all the Hashira? Well, what he likely does is slam his tentacles into the ground so hard, it shatters the earth and sends a lot of debris up into his opponents. Dawn attack that takes out all of the Hashira and Kamaboko. This attack knocked out Inosuke immediately, which we see in the aftermath, which means he had to see Gyome coming in to protect him in that exact moment. Meanwhile, Inosuke can't see Doma pull his mask off and then dash off across the room, and Doma did this with such precision that it didn't even seem to jerk Inosuke's head or anything.
Mental amp slander. The Demon Slayer heresy has to fucking stop. Please, my brothers in Sukakuni Christ, stop fucking saying that Rengoku only cut through half of Akaza's neck because of a mental amp. Nowhere in the entire Kimetsu no Yaiba licensed franchise is there literally ever a mention of this. Stop using other manga IP power scaling systems to justify your narratives in this one. There is no cross-verse equalization within the confines of in-universe death battle. Stupid! This is not Naruto, there is no Genkai Board release ninjutsu, there are no Saiyan Physiology Rage amps, nor Bleachigo Ryoka Invasion Arc Resolve amps in Demon Slayer. No Nin, no Ki, no Ryatsu, Mana, Chakra, or Zetten. Damn. Akaza, whom is over a century old with at least 58 Hashira kills under his belt, witnesses Kyojiro's second and narratively third burst of battle spirit, yet not once did he make a mention of the existence of mental or resolve amps in their death duel. When Muichiro got fucking impaled by Kokushibo, only to walk it the fuck off and come in clutch for the final battle.
See, now that's some bullshit.
When Tanjiro's eyes bled and activated its protagonist powers against Daki, and then again with her brother Gyotaro. None of these ninjas, none of these hundreds of years old, hundreds of Hashiras murdered later, actual Dracula demons has ever mentioned in passing or heard of fucking mental amps. Are you dumb, stupid, apropos, we 100% have to factor in every instance of what Black Clover unironically and ironically enough describes as pushing past your limits, or what My Hero Academia refers to as But Romulus, you glorious great glowing god in mortal flesh, you say. How can you so cavalierly acknowledge Tabata and Horikoshi's universal mechanics, but in that same breath you don't with the aforementioned? Obviously, the handful of aforementioned examples are the only in-story precedents that I need to establish in order for the claim to be concrete. The fact that this phenomena is not an amp boost does not, however, negate the fact that the phenomena still occurred. Stupid! The in-universe explanation we're given is that Kyojuro Rengoku is him. So Hakuden, who never experiences any sort of mental amp/resolve boost, contextually addresses the matter directly after literally revealing his final form.
いや、そもそもあった時点で、あの方からの情報よりも、桁違いの反射、戦いへの適応、瀬戸際での爆発的な成長。
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Say it with me, there are no mental amps in Kimetsu no Yaiba.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
Was Akaza holding back? I am wholeheartedly uninterested in whether or not Akaza was holding back in his bout with Rengoku.
What do you mean by that?
What I am interested in is the scope in which one views his holding back limits with.
What?
A perfect example of this might be when two UFC powerhouses finally meet in an arena, and one fighter decides to handicap their various other MMA skills by only striking with a non-brawler.
I understood that reference.
One could likely and equitably assume that without the use of said handicap, the results of the match can tremendously be altered.
Seems to check out.
However, not using Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in no way significantly or otherwise reduces your strength, speed, endurance, battle IQ, or prowess, etc. Saying that Akaza held back against Rengoku is valid. Saying that he held back a notable amount of power, save for blood demon art techniques mind you, is fucking not valid. You know what else is valid though? Saying that Rengoku was holding back too.
What do you mean by that?
Much like my earlier statement, there's no need for me to verify the authenticity of this statement either.
It's true.
As my having destroyed the notion that Rengoku was using any type of mental or resolve amps in the former section necessitates there being another explanation for Kyojuro's burst in power, strength, speed, etc. Which, without any other narrative examples exposited by our characters, the most reasonable conclusion using the in-universe mechanics would be to conclude that after not one, not two, but three battle spirit bursts, Rengoku still had enough left in the tank from holding back against Akaza that he was able to decapitate the fourth most powerful demon on the planet. While on death's door, mind you. Was Saname serious? Okay, so in order for us to truly determine the strength of the last two remaining Hashira, we must first determine whether or not Saname was serious during three separate altercations. The first altercation transpired between Saname and his brother Genya the Gun Hashira. The second altercation in question was with regards to the reactions of the collective Hashira during Kamoboko's first meeting with the Pillars.
I'm only doing this because he's trying to escape.
Tanjiro, if you use any breathing techniques while your lungs are squeezed, it'll force your veins to burst.
His veins will burst? I like it. Sounds dramatic. Come on, show me.
And the third altercation was Rengoku's first meeting with the Pillars, each with regard to Saname and how he reacted to the outside stimuli. In each and every one of these scenarios that we plainly see in the available panels, it is utterly blatant that Saname would have absolutely gouged his brother's eyes out were it not for the interference of Tanjiro. There's very little arguments whatsoever that can be made that Saname was not being serious at this moment. If we were to contrast this with the very first time the two Pillars interacted with one another, i.e. after Rengoku was promoted to the rank of Hashira, versus the reaction that the collective Hashira displayed when Orochimaru nearly dislocated Tanjiro's arms while hogtied, you'd have to count yourself among the idiot masses in order to rationalize that Saname was not being serious, and or that Saname did not intend to seriously injure, if not outright kill Rengoku, if for no other justification than if he is actually Hashira material, that he would not die from the blow, which, need I remind you, was expertly and effortlessly blocked by Rengoku, before then expositing to the audience in a way that directly and implicitly implies that he was holding back when defending himself. Which is to say, there is no reason that can be extrapolated upon to rationalize Saname ever not being serious when he attacks a target, be it an ally or an opponent in any given scenario. You would be hard-pressed to convince me that this man who tried to blind his brother because of wording somehow held back when attempting to elbow Rengoku's face off of his shoulders. Based on the three-way battle between Saname, Muichiro, and Giyu, we can equitably, if not conclusively, extrapolate relative combat powers in terms of striking and speed. If so, this also necessitates that their marked forms are also relative to one another. And since we've already established that marked Giyu is inferior to base Rengoku, this would necessitate that marked Saname is also inferior to base Rengoku. Even were I to grant that marked Saname was superior to base Rengoku, allegedly, how much of a gap or a deficit in power could that possibly be when the kill shot of a consistently bloodlusted Hashira was blocked with a happy face like your IG DMs? How do you reconcile a willingness to permanently steal the sunlight from your own flesh and blood over going demonic vegan with he was only holding back on the new kid who just told the entire Vampire Slayer corpse about their mom's Demon Time OF account? Saname intended bloodlusted/mortal injury to Kigochiro, whom in turn nonchalantly blocked his kill shot and talked him down like 09 Drake at Magic City convincing Stripperella that she can change her life. The power gap between a marked Wind Hashira and base Flame Hashira is such that it can and will easily be overshot by its ninth breathing form. If not, which is absolute fucking cap mind you, marked Rengoku is summoned to the field for the first time and smokes the entire Wind Pillar pack in one breath. Stronger versus more powerful. Roll the clip.
When it comes to scaling the strength of a character, there are two different classifications you need to be aware of, these two being attack potency and destructive capacity. To make things very easy and simple to understand, essentially, AP refers to who you can hurt, and DC refers to what you can destroy. For example, if a character can damage, harm, or even kill a character that can destroy the Earth, that character would then classify as having planetary levels of AP. For destructive capacity, or DC, in more technical terms, it refers to the amount of energy a character can produce, and is usually measured in units of energy.
Lifting strength is a very broad category that refers to any strength task related to lifting, and generally to how much a character or person can lift. Now, striking strength ties into this as well, because the strongest strikers on the planet tend to be boxing, MMA, and other martial arts competitors. Obviously, a boxer will be able to hit significantly harder than a powerlifter for much the same reason a powerlifter can squat more than a sprinter. The muscles being trained within their bodies are specifically designed to perform a certain task, and boxers train their arms and body to perform the task of striking, so they tend to hold the capability of generating much more force in their strikes than almost any other person on the planet.
It took all 5 remaining Hashira, the king of the mountain, a thunder god, the gender-bent infinite Tsukiyomi, and shonen plot armor just to not kill a Demon King cocktail drug Michael Muzan. Mind you, up until that point, he was incapable of tagging either of them unless he employed his blood demon art.
Wow.
On the one hand, you could argue that all of the Hashira were heavily fatigued as well, and on the other hand, that Muzan Jackson had yet to adapt to Tamayo's.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
The issue with this position is that your argument either becomes that the gap between Doma and Akaza is such that all 8 Hashira level Vampire Slayers plus 13 form Ultra Instinct Tanjiro are insufficient to defeat Upper Moon 2, let alone to stalemate a weaker demon than him. Or that Marquis Gajira was more powerful than the entire panel of pillars. If 9 Hashiras couldn't tag an inferior vampire to Doma, just how the fuck much stronger than a serious Akaza can he be, given it only required Manjiro and Giyu, who is weaker than Saname, to behead basketball demon arts.
You're a victim.
Base Rengoku was shish kebabbing Akaza left and right from the opening of their battle until its close, while it took Demon Slayer marked Giyu and Selfless State Tanjiro jumping him to accomplish the same or similar results. Rengoku nearly decapitating Akaza was done using only his waning strength without any breathing forms. Just how large is your multiplier for the Demon Slayer mark, and just how large do you view the gap between upper 2 and 3? Either the gulf in power between the top Kizuki is insurmountable, or marked Rengoku could have soloed Muzan off Tamayo's wisteria perks. One of these options leaves the mass majority of Kimetsu no Yaiba consumers butthurt. The only other option is the ass pull that full-powered Guillaume would have accomplished what the whole of the Hashiras did, meaning that the difference in power between the Sun Hashira, the Flame Pillar, and Guillaume is statistically insignificant. To be crystal fucking clear, the in his literal prime Stone Hashira would only have imperceptible power differentials from an incomplete Sun Pillar. Flame Hashira, who was fathered by the most powerful pillar in 100 years and taught himself everything he knows with a ripped up copy of the Flame Chronicles.
Anyways, man, thanks for checking out another video. If you stuck around this far, I fucks with you.
Then we'll fox with each other.
Hit that like button, subscribe, and click that notification bell so we can discuss big facts and who's big, mad, or butthurt in the comments for the first hour. Oh yeah, and don't forget to hit that dislike button if you a bitch.